I'm an emergency medical technician. I've worked a lot of vehicle crashes, and too often, alcohol's involved. I've seen so many lives lost. Some were drunk drivers, some were just people going about their day. All because someone was drinking and said, "I'm okay to drive." It's not okay.
Police are cracking down on impaired drivers now, so drive sober or get pulled over. A message from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning.
Right now, switch your family to T-Mobile and get 4 lines for $25 a line with AutoPay and 5G access included on America's largest 5G network. So don't wait. Get unlimited and nationwide 5G access for the whole family for just $25 a line. Visit a T-Mobile store or T-Mobile.com today.
Plus taxes and fees. Customers may notice lower speeds and further reduction if using over 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video at 480p. Unlimited while on our network. Qualifying credit and 4+ lines required. Capable device required for 5G. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain features. See T-Mobile.com.
You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about sports in the state of Michigan?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, we're giving you the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, the show that provides research and statistics about all the Detroit and Michigan sports teams, whether fans like it or not, and detects, exposes, and reveals actual and hidden facts and truth that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. No junk, no entertainment, no homerism, no slappiness, no coddling, no pop culture, no conspiracy theories, no opinions, no shilling, and no fluff. Head over to our website, themichigansportstruthpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth, and like the show's 2 Facebook pages, one of them at Michigan Sports Truth, and the other created by Stables.network. Visit Stables.network's website, primetimewiththestablesnetwork.com, like Stables.network on Facebook, and follow Stables.network on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Stables Network. The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast does not represent or defame any of the teams it covers, nor does it represent or compete against any mainstream media in the state of Michigan. It is also not for entertainment or debating purposes. It only detects, exposes, and reveals honest, actual, and hidden truth, facts, and statistics about them. And it is for every sports fan's own good because the truth is out there. And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on Stables.network. I'm Taylor Phillips, along with Ed Smith and Frank Vasner. Ed Smith, awesome weekend. How was your weekend, and how are you doing tonight?
Been dealing with some busy things, but nothing too concerning, so I'm good.
That's good. Frank, how about yourself? How was your week, and how are you doing tonight?
Well, been back to another busy week after a weekend where I got to see some friends of mine that I hadn't seen in a while. So, but of course, it's once play is over, work begins.
Yep, that's true. So you can follow me on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at DT2Phillips. You can follow Ed Smith on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at EdSmith313. You can follow Frank Vasner on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Frank_Vasner. All right, so the topics, just a lot of headlines to run through, but we've also got some Tigers to talk about, and we're going to talk about them right now, starting with our TMSTP Story Vault. From Jeff Moss of the Detroit Sports Rag on July 16, 2019, Tigers getting returns on purchasing Anthony Fennick. Earlier this week, the CEO of Phantom Fireworks had a meeting with our imbecile-in-chief Donald Trump. That's still our current president, unfortunately. During that meeting, the hero executive of Rednecks Everywhere, Bruce Zoldan, donated $750,000 of explosives for the Dictator in Training's July 4th Spectacular. Coincidentally, the same exact day that Zoldan made his generous donation to the Separator of Families, Trump announced that he was postponing the planned $300 billion of tariffs, read taxes on American consumers, on Chinese goods. Of course, one of many products China imports to the USA is fireworks. This is a business as usual for the scumbag who promised to drain the swamp, as Trump has never missed a chance for a quid pro quo in his life. All of which leads us to today's headline in the Detroit Free Press from Tigers beat writer Anthony Fennick, headlining, quote, "Like it or not, extending Al Avila's contract is the right move. Here's why, unquote." Now, the relationship between the Detroit Tigers and an alleged journalist paid to cover the team might not have the geopolitical consequences as turning a blind eye to the Saudi royal family's dismemberment of a Washington Post reporter in exchange for the future Middle East Trump-Kushner business opportunities. But it's pretty atrocious nonetheless. The Detroit Sports Rag has learned through multiple sources that Fenech took a gift earlier this year from the Tigers organization in the approximate amount of $4,000 net flat. No sense whatsoever. When the team invited him to participate in their annual fantasy camp in Lakeland, Florida. As you probably know, before every spring training, the Tigers offered their fans a chance to hobnob with former players, culminating with games played in Tiger Town with ex-greats like Alan Trammell, Dan Petrie, and Frank Tanana. According to the team's website, the Tigers website, tigers.com, the fantasy camp cost $3,550 plus Florida sales tax and room and board. Fenech made no secret of his attendance this past February. Not only did he post it on social media, he penned an article about the experience for the Freak. He even took embarrassing photographs of himself in the uniform of the team he covers for a living. I mean, this would all be bad enough if Fenech had gone to the fantasy camp on his own dime, or if the Freak had reimbursed the Tigers. But once again, according to my sources, this vacation for Fenech was free great, Al Swearingen. And to make matters worse, Fenech and the subjects he covers for a paycheck, including that dumpster fire of a pitcher, Jordan Zimmerman, he haunted up about Fenech's experience. And just like the above-referenced transactional politics, Fenech has paid back the team with positive articles about a franchise currently on pace for a 108-loss season amidst turbulent rebuild. The compromised dipstick has spent the entire season attempting to sell his readers on Al Avila's reclamation project with absolutely zero criticism of the GM's horrendous trades, free agent signings, and non-first-round draft choice disasters. Fenech did the expected earlier this morning in posting an article defending Chris Ilitch's decision to give Al Avila a contract extension when the bumbling executive still had another year on his deal. While his cohort at the paper, Sean Windsor, eviscerated the move, and the Freak ran another article about the irate fan reaction to the asinine extension, Fenech ran his normal interference for the parking lot king of Detroit, Chris Ilitch, and Al Avila. Of course, Fenech wrote this piece. The DSR has also been advised by multiple sources in the Detroit media that Fenech is Avila's handpicked local errand boy. Between the scoops, the front office leaks, Fenech, and expensive camp experiences, this derelict wasn't about to bite the hand that feeds him. Instead of giving a portrait of Avila's transactions since taking over the team in August of 2015, Fenech decided to opine on Al Avila's view of a sunset from his patio and provide details about Avila's plans with his wife and grandchildren during the All-Star break. Fenech then ended the post with this beauty, quote, "But given the progress made, the contract extension was merely confirmation of what is expected. Avila is the Tigers' guide to see the process through," unquote. I mean, progress right there? Let's pause right there. What progress, may we ask, was Fenech talking about? The column didn't mention the disastrous rebuild for J.D. Martinez. It didn't reference that Avila dealt Justin Upton for a guy who is already retired. So we're going to pause right here this time. Ed, again, the progress, I'm going to call this false progress again. So it's just not working. It just wasn't working for the Tigers because not only do they have Ron Gardenhire as their manager, since they brought him out of retirement, by the way, their roster, bad. Ed, go ahead, and then we'll turn it over to Frank.
It was just false hope, really. It's something that required something better than re-upping with the same GM. It really required starting anew, when that required also a new GM as well, in my opinion. But they did not take that route, and we see the results.
Yep, it did. So, continuing on here, there was not a single paragraph regarding the weak return for Justin Verlander or that Al Avila is still paying JV $8 million this season to put up Cy Young numbers for the Astros. One has to wonder if the Astros GM Jeff Lunho called up Al Avila this past winter and asked if the Tigers would be willing to put up another $16 million for the 2-year, $66 million contract extension the future Hall of Famer signed with Houston, Justin Verlander. So we're going to pause right there and go over to Frank. Anthony Fenech has really outdone himself simply by embarrassing himself to put on a Tigers uniform and pretend that he's playing for the team, and now he's praising Al Avila. Frank, this discussed you too.
Well, I mean, I think I've said this before when I believe it was just a little over a year ago when I discussed this very article from Moss with you. If you look up the definition of bought and paid for shill in the dictionary, you will find Anthony Fennick's picture next to it. And as for Al Avila and him being a complete inept idiot, he is basically turned into he's baseball's version of Ernie Grunfeld, who was the Washington Wizards GM who oversaw not one, not two, but 3 failed rebuilds. So, I mean, let's hope that Avila can at least pull his head out of his rear end and get things going in the right direction. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. And he's just around because of loyalty, and Chris Hillis just wants him there because he doesn't really care.
No, they absolutely don't care. Continuing on here, there was nothing about Jeimer Candelario's development or lack thereof, and definitely nothing like this. Quote, I couldn't care less about a 108-pace MLB team. I care about Jake Rogers, 214, 303, 427 slash line. Daz Cameron with a slash line of 227, 318, 401. Jeimer Candelario, 207, 305, 326. Dawal Lugo, 207, 233, 317. Parker Meadows, 217, 302, and 303. Cody Clemens, 243, 315, 436. I could go on and on and on. And Moss tweeted last year, July 5th, 2019, on one of his suspended accounts at Jeff Moss 91, or anything like this tweet comparing Al Avila to other GMs who took over their franchises at a similar time. Actually, those slash lines were in the tweet from last year by Moss. And then M. Gorash on Twitter at Sports5176 said on Twitter, quote, no, they don't, at least more than once. Milwaukee, Arizona, Minnesota, Texas, Tampa Bay, all have lost close to 95 games in Avila's tenure as GM. Now, they are pretty damn competitive, if not good. 4 of those teams hired GMs after Al Avila, so as is his custom, Al Avila is a lying sack of crap, unquote. M. Gorash laying down the hammer right here. Nope, just a regurgitation of the company line from the moron who thinks it's a good idea to get photographed wearing the company uniform. The Tigers have purchased the Freaks beat writer covering them for the price of a slot of an old-timers camp and a few breaking news pieces. But who could have ever seen this coming? Oh, right. It's shocking that a guy who once sexually harassed a coworker at his college newspaper, CM Life, for instance, by name, drove super drunk and got into an injury car accident in a PT Cruiser, made misogynistic and racist tweets on social media, and who got into a sexual relationship with a coworker that led said woman to get transferred to Nashville, what ended up a disaster. Before posting this article, I sent a text message to Fennick asking for his response to the accusations in this story. As of this writing, Fennick has not responded. Maybe I should get Sour Shoes to ask him. I have also emailed the sports editor of the paper, Chris Thomas, to ask why the Freak would allow their beat writer to accept the cost of a decent engagement ring as a gift from the Detroit Tigers. I will let you know when one of them responds or when hell freezes over, or when the Tigers win a World Series. So that's the end of this article. So just an overview of this entire article. But that second half, those slash lines that I went over, they're not terrible, but they're not good enough. And we went over Anthony Fennick's history before his current tenure as Tigers beat writer for the Detroit Free Press. So all in all, Anthony Fennick not only was a bad boy, but now just like a fanboy type of adult, being a fan for this Tigers team. So Ed, we'll turn it over to you, and then we'll go over to Frank. Ed, what's your analogy on the rest of this article?
My analogy on the rest of the article is, man, it was just a slippery slope that of decisions, one that led to another, that led to the current state of where the Tigers are at right now. You basically brought back a general manager, like Frank mentioned, out of loyalty. The loyalty can only get you and take you so far. So between that and you have an owner, or basically taking over owner, and Chris Ilitch who doesn't care. And, you're left in a situation of where you have a team that has the wrong manager. It's going in the wrong direction currently, as is. And I just don't see how they're going to do the right strategy to reverse course.
No, not unless the Tigers are definitely sold. So, Frank, you would agree with everything that Ed said, right? Go right ahead.
You're absolutely right, Taylor. I agree with everything Ed said, and they're pretty much stuck that way until Chris Ilitch sells the team. When that happens, I don't know.
Yep. Speaking of the Tigers, Jordan Zimmerman, the aforementioned Jordan Zimmerman, is now on the 45-day injured list with a right forearm strain. His return is indefinite, but no surgery required. He can still pitch, but might not be able to make it to the final back this season in the final year of his 5-year, $110 million contract. In other Tigers news, Casey Mize and others have been sent down to an alternative training site when Mize, for example, seemed ready to play in the majors with the Tigers. And guys, I don't know why they're keeping Casey Mize down from the majors, whether it's the minors or an alternative training site. Casey Mize is itching to go, and I think and the Ilitch family are misusing him. And finally, regarding the Tigers, Daniel Norris returns a month after his positive test for COVID-19 and encourages the team to take the virus seriously. So that is all Tigers. And before we get to the other headlines, Casey Mize, a guy who seemed ready for the majors, and Chris Ilitch and Alaville sent him and others down to an alternative training site. I mean, down in Toledo or something like that, or wherever. But Alaville is probably struck again, I guess. Casey Mize. This is just Casey Mize is a guy who is already ready for the majors. There is no way that he should be sent down to either the minors or an alternative training site. Casey Mize is a power pitcher. He's got a lightning-heated fastball or something like that, whatever you may call it. But it's a very fast-thrown fastball that Casey Mize has. So
he's got an arsenal on him for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
He's got, that's why the Tigers picked him, because they see the future, the potential within him. But already I don't seem to like what they're doing, because they're treating his progression as if it's a normal other circumstance. This is not a normal other circumstance. Okay, there's a reason why he was brought up here with the rest of the minor leaguers to integrate and play with some of the major leaguers. In my view, it wasn't just for getting his feet wet and getting him some experience. It's to bring him on board and to start his career. That's how you begin his progression, in my view. So, again, it's just a matter of this team is not going to instantly make a rapid improvement. But I just feel that the way things are set up currently with situations, I think this was not the right move, in my view.
No, definitely not the right move. Frank, you would have to agree with this. It's definitely not the right move for Alan Vila to make. Like I mentioned, Casey Mize is ready, and he was sent down.
You're absolutely right, Taylor and Ed. And need I remind you that Justin Verlander, when he made his MLB debut, he was first round pick, number 2 overall in all his draft year. He gets brought up, and everyone said, "Oh well, they're trying to delay service time so they have him for more team control." Please, to me, service time is all about politics, and it's just a bunch of BS. If the guy's ready, you play him. I know the Tigers aren't going to win anything this year, but have him up in the major leagues in in-game action. What's he going to do down in Toledo? He ain't getting any game action down there. So have him up, let him play, do whatever. Service time is stupid. If he's ready to play, you play him. But I see Alavila is pulling the old Ken Holland bit, saying, this is a men's league. Kids aren't the answer, and probably other things as well. but that's just what I think.
And to top it off, keep in mind that the minor league season has been canceled for 2020 because of COVID-19.
Exactly. Like I said, he's not going to get any game action down there.
Right, so utilize him while you can. You got 60 games. You're not really expected to make any type of run for the postseason, let alone a deep run. So utilize him, because who knows what things are going to look like for next year and beyond, the way things are currently set up.
Yeah, and may I add one more thing? Casey Mize has been training longer than long enough. It's time for him to play in the majors, period. It's already been time for Mize to play in the majors. And he's not the only one either. Matt Manning, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson. Well, Spencer Torkelson has just been drafted this year, but other than Mize, Manning, Riley Green, I think they're all ready to go. They've done at least 1 year of training. I think it's enough training right there for each of those players.
Yeah, stop playing politics with service time.
Exactly.
So the kid gloves.
Right. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago with Ken Holland's articles, kicking tires. Yeah, he's not kicking tires. Neither is Alavila right there by sending Casey Mize down along with others. It just baffles me. It baffles us all. It baffles a lot of Tigers fans who want to see Casey Mize play in the majors with that team. So there you go. Other headlines. Ed, you're going to like this one, though. Michigan Wolverines men's basketball forward Isaiah Livers withdraws from the NBA draft and returns to U of M in Ann Arbor. So the Wolverines get one player back.
Very much approve of this. Granted, given the fact that we were losing players either to graduation, some declaring early anyway, or by methods of transfer, this is a real big piece that decided to return to the team, and couldn't be more happy for Isaiah for him trying to recognizing the things that are currently set up with the NBA. He may not be able to be at a better position where he's currently at. So, return to school for a year isn't bad, because at the very least, the way things are set up, who knows? He may be given the option of either virtual classes to keep up a scholarship or whatever the case may be. But I think it's a much better situation, safer situation with his health, staying home, staying within the state for at least another year or so this craziness calms down, and going back to school. So I think not just for shoring up knowledge for what he can do at the next level, I think he's also doing this for safety precautions, because he's seeing what's going on throughout the rest of the country compared to what's going on within the state in regards to COVID-19. So I think that as well played a big factor in Isaiah Lewis making his decision. Livers.
Yep, absolutely. And much needed for the Michigan Wolverines men's basketball team. They need him. They still need him to play for this basketball team under head coach Juwan Howard. Frank, anything to add?
Well, yeah, I do have something to add. I think that if there's anyone who's breathing a sigh of relief, it should be Juwan Howard, because Livers was thinking about testing the NBA waters and going, but he decided to come back for his senior year, get better on what he needs to get better at, and hopefully it'll parlay into him being a first-round pick in the 2021 NBA draft.
Yeah, there you go. So, what school term is Isaiah Livers entering again? Junior, senior?
I believe he's entering his senior season.
Okay, gotcha. We'll look it up just to confirm. So that headline is out of the way. Western Michigan Broncos football has canceled their season opener against Stony Brook in Week 1, apparently due to COVID-19 as well. Michigan Wolverines football defensive end David Ojabo has been stuck in Scotland since March, and he has been unable to rejoin the team due to COVID-19 travel restrictions, and that is not good for the team. They need him as part of their defensive line. He's a very key, at least serviceable, on the defensive front, or one of the defensive frontmen on the defensive ends. And shifting to national coronavirus headlines, in Major League Baseball, only 6 more positive tests, 23 total out of 17,949 people. That includes players and staff. So back to Ojabo for a second. It's a shame for the Wolverines. Not only are they keeping their coaching staff, but one of their players has been stuck in Scotland. If he doesn't make the team in time, they're going to be in a bit of a pinch. Ed, go ahead.
If there's a silver lining to this, you can say that this was a circumstance that was out of his control. It's not like he failed a drug test or committed a violation or anything that prevented him from being able to join the team. It's just current circumstances and situations that prevents him from entering the country, which is completely understandable. Now, if he's not able to return, I don't know, let's say within the next couple months, sure, it'll be concerning about whether or not he can still rejoin the team. But again, I would say, at the very least, if things aren't improving the way the school wants it to improve, or the way that's beneficial enough to where he can return, and hopefully at the very least the school and the team can have him set up to where, if he's not able to return to the States for a while, he'll still be taken care of some way, shape, or fashion in regards to his degree or his scholarship or whatever the case may be in terms of him getting his education.
Yeah, not only does he want to play football, he wants to return to school as well. If there's one other way that he can return to school, it's probably taking at least one online class, maybe two. I guess if he can't play football if he can't return to the United States of America, because of COVID-19 travel restrictions, to not only to play, but to also attend classes at the school in person, just take them online if you have to.
Yeah, it's definitely going to require a couple of online courses at the very least if this keeps up.
Yeah, true. One more Major League Baseball headline to pass along. MLB may allow fans later in this season. The league executive says they will, quote, consider the question of having fans at stadiums as the season goes if conditions change, unquote. In the NHL, only 2 positive cases in the past week out of 2,618 tests, players and staff included, to more than 800 players since Phase 3. And in the NFL, 72 players have tested positive through July 10th, and then afterwards 59 players tested positive afterwards, so that's 131 total. The league and the NFLPA has been taking COVID-19 protocols, such as strict traveling guidelines for teams, mask wearing at facilities, etc. The NFL and Players Association have agreed that the players will take daily COVID-19 tests for the first 2 weeks of training camp. The NFL and Players Association have also agreed, more importantly, on 0 preseason games this year. So the Lions, for example, will not play any preseason games. They'll just play their regular season games. And then fans must wear masks at games in 2020. So the NFL is actually allowing fans to games, except fans got to wear masks as well. But
and social distancing.
Yeah, definitely. So there's limited seats available at, for example, Ford Field, for example, when the Lions play a regular season game. Now, the other question I may ponder to ask is, are they only playing their divisional games like NFC North, such as just the Packers, Bears, and Vikings, or are they, or do we think they still play all 16 of their games in 17 weeks?
I think they'll end up playing all 16 of their games, because I think the NFL schedule is designed where if they have to, they can delay it for about a month and then just end up playing all 16 games. Probably without the bye week, so that means no time to rest, and that probably also means no trips to London if you're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, and probably if you're having to go to a real hot spot in the country that's got a lot of COVID cases, probably that game more than likely gets moved. So, but again, I don't know if that would happen, because I know Miami's kind of a hot spot, and it doesn't sound like the Dolphins are moving any of their games. I do know that on the baseball side, the Toronto Blue Jays can't play games at the Rogers Center, and I have stumbled across reports saying that they may end up having to play at Cooley Law Stadium in Lansing, Michigan, where their minor league affiliate Lansing Lugnuts play. They've tried to end up playing in Buffalo, and I guess that hasn't worked out. They tried to share PNC Park in Pittsburgh with the Pirates, and that was a no-go. So it looks like the Jays may end up having to play in Lansing.
Yep, Lansing, Michigan, Cooley Law School.
Cooley Law Stadium, where the Lansing
Cooley Law Stadium.
Right?
Oh, that's right. I've been thinking a school in Cadillac, an elementary school, a name. My bad. Yeah, Cooley Law
good.
Stadium. Thanks. Ed, anything to add?
Not really in terms of that.
All right. I do have a couple NBA headlines in terms of the coronavirus, and this is really good news. 0 out of 346 players test positive in Orlando's campus since July 13th. So the NBA season is definitely a go right there.
And that's good news because, remember, Russell Westbrook had recently tested positive himself and had to enter 14 days of quarantine. So he's recently cleared that, so now he's good to go to rejoin the Rockets. So good job on the NBA of handling this as best as they can. It's not easy, it's not perfect, but that's the best they can do. They don't have the same luxuries as compared to what the UFC had, where they can able to have their own personalized island, so to speak, the way Fight Island was constructed. But this bubble situation is close enough, and they're following the testing protocols as best they can too. So I think with the fact that they've got no more positives in the past week or so, Russell Westbrook's getting ready to rejoin the Rockets. They have handled this as best they possibly could, and props to the NBA.
Yeah, props indeed.
And it is also worth mentioning that there was some news about Sacramento Kings forward Rashawn Holmes, who went outside the bubble because he had ordered or takeout from a local restaurant, and I guess had to step outside in order to pick it up, and there was kind of a big deal made about that. So at least it's good to know that he didn't end up testing positive as well. So,
well, I'll bet they were in self-quarantine afterwards. So
yeah, he did end up having to self-quarantine.
Yeah. Rudy Gobert as well. Yep. So one more headline to get out of the way, and then we'll just try to fill up the time as best we can. The NBA draft lottery has been pulled up from August 25th to August 20th. The draft is still, I believe, October 1st. Somebody pull that up here. I think it's October 1st. I couldn't quite remember. But the NBA draft lottery has been pulled up from August 25th, 5 days early, to August 20th. So it's going to be like 5 days earlier than initially scheduled. So that August 20th is going to be on a Thursday. And the Pistons, they finished 12th in the East, not making the playoffs. We were discussing their odds at a high lottery draft pick. We were, I guess, kind of predicting that they would move up to a higher draft pick in that lottery. So I believe we got 17 or 16 minutes left on this episode of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast on Staples.network. So guys, what do you think? Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go over to Frank. The Pistons in the NBA draft lottery, if they were to move up or down or stay put, anybody have any idea who they should go after? I mean, yep. Go ahead.
Depending on where they're at, if let's say they're no worse than say the fifth spot, so at the very least they're in the top 5, still gives you a good shot in landing one of the top 5 or 6 prospects. I'm thinking probably either LaMelo Ball, because eventually at some point you're going to need another point guard. You don't know how long Derrick Rose is going to be here, so why not go young at the point guard spots, especially since you've already moved on from Reggie Jackson? Or possibly getting another big man, especially now since you've moved on from Andre Drummond, and eventually the Blake Griffin era, Blake Griffin will move on as well, given the fact that either A, that contract is going to be traded, or B, we let it expire. But in either event, you still get a big man for the future. So if LaMelo Ball isn't available, I could see James Wiseman as a possible option as well, or Anthony Edwards.
All right.
That's another. Yeah, that'll be my 3 options: LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, or Anthony Edwards.
All right. Those are 3 good ones right there. Frank, anybody you got in mind for the Pistons?
I'm pretty much in the same boat as that. I'm basically I either go Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, or LaMelo Ball even. So we'll see how it plays out when the lottery is here on August 20th.
Awesome. All right. So Tigers have lost both of their 2 preseason games against the Reds. They blew a 5-0 and they blew a 5-0 lead and a 6-3 lead and lost 9-7 in the first game against those Reds in Cincinnati, and then they lost again tonight 2-1 to the same team, the Cincinnati Reds. Tigers got off to a really hot start with production from Jonathan Scope and C.J. Cron, but their pitching, oh my God, especially their bullpen, not so hot again. Their bullpen arms, their bullpen has still been an issue the last, I don't know how many years, but it's still been an issue. And just like Dave Dombrowski, Alavila has not been able to fix their bullpen issues. And that's another problem I have about that Alavila multi-year contract extension. Ed, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Frank. Ed, go ahead.
So basically, in other words, with what you described, they're already in mid-season form. Wonderful. In terms of what this means for the rest of the year, again, I don't think they're going to make any noise whatsoever. Yeah, it's 60 games. Yes, a small sample size, but look how this team is currently constructed. Look at its manager. Look at its general manager. Look at its makeup. Do you really think this is a team that's going to make any moves and make some noise this year? No. So the best case scenario, lose, and lose often.
Yeah, and tank. Even in a 60-game season where coronavirus has struck. Frank, anything to add?
Well, I'm just going to echo what Ed said. You're not going to contend for anything, and you don't have a lot of talent. You just need to lose and end up picking in the top 2 again, and hopefully you end up with Kumar Rocker from Vanderbilt, who is a very excellent pitcher, and add him to your rotation of Casey Mize, Matt Manning, Alex Faedo, among others. I could definitely see that as being a very good rotation in the future.
Yeah. Like, how about right now? That Alex Faedo, Matt Manning, Casey Mize, like we kept mentioning on this episode. Come on. They should start in the majors right now, not in the future.
Yeah. Give them a chance to prove themselves. I mean, they've proven themselves at the lower levels. Lower levels aren't playing this year. Give them a chance. And you know what? If they go out and they in a sense crap the bed in the first start, so what? You're not expected to win anything, and if you fall off the horse, you get back on. Keep on riding as if nothing happened. That's baseball for you.
And there you go. Not to mention they still have Ron Gartenhire as their manager, a manager who with the Twins saw their team fall apart in 2014 before he was fired. Remember that, guys?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, definitely. That was before Ron Gartenhire.
Of course, we Tiger fans at that time had some Dartmouth dummy named Brad Ausmus.
Yep, of course. And Ausmus had a 3-year contract and then a club option for 2017, which they exercised when they shouldn't have, in my opinion. But here's why they kept him. The Tigers did not tank like they were supposed to in 2016, although they got off to a bit of a good start in 2016. That was until Jordan Zimmerman injured himself, and then when he returned, he started pitching like crap. And then the Tigers were just hanging by a thread. They got eliminated by just one game, just one game short of that postseason berth, that final postseason berth in the American League. And that's why the Tigers extended Brad Ausmus, because they thought his team made progress, dating back to 2015 when they were the worst team in the majors, just like they were in 2017, right after 2016. And then at the end of 2017, Brad Ausmus was gone 3 years too late. And Jordan Zimmerman, he should retire. Jordan Zimmerman should just retire after this season. I mean, he's got to be paid for the entire season anyway. Why don't you just pay him for the entire full year in advance right now and just call it a season right now? Because we know Jordan Zimmerman's not going to pitch 45 IL.
Taylor, can I please make mention that Jordan Zimmerman is definitely at the top of worst free agent signings in Detroit sports history.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Ed will agree with me when I say
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. You wanted to add something, or did you just want to agree?
Not really much. Otherwise, it'll be piggyback off of what he said. So, off of what Frank had said earlier.
Yep. And then I ran into an article from CBS Sports a few hours earlier today that previewing the NFC North regarding the Lions. One writer says that the Lions have to look at their backfield, meaning their running backs, but also in that Lions section inside that article, it mentioned the defense and their secondary, and that they might have to start Jeff Okudah and that other one guy right away. And I believe I'm going to have to agree with them on that one. Jeff Okudah is definitely a starter because their secondary has been nothing but dumpster fire crap, period. Dumpster fire crap. For years upon years, the Lions' secondary defense has been god-awful. Their defensive line and defensive ends may not be that good either. Well, some of them won't. Others have, actually, like Ziggy Ansah and Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley. The list goes on. But even Ziggy Ansah left the Lions for another team. And Ndamukong Suh left for the Dolphins, I believe. That was the last I checked. And then Nick Fairley, I believe, left for the Eagles. But anyhow, Jeff Okudah, they said that one CBS Sports writer on the CBS Sports app said he should start. Ed, we'll start with you on this one again. We got to agree with this one. Jeff Okudah, I think, is a starter. What do you think?
Without question, he's a starter. There's a reason why you picked him third overall, because you wanted to be your starting cornerback one day. It may not be this year because you got Desmond Trufant essentially as your replacement for Darius Slay, but I think by putting Okudah on the other side of the field, opposite side of the field, it gives him, basically a chance to occupy and give him his own space, number one. And two, since he'll be essentially the number two guy on the depth chart, gives him a chance to learn under what Trufant might bring to the table in terms of experience, tips, anything a guy at his position could do, if not better. So,
yeah, Frank. We got Jeff Okudah and Desmond Trufant as I believe as our two starting passing defenders.
Not to mention Justin Coleman in the slot / nickel spot.
So that makes three. That's a trifecta. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tracy Walker made some good plays for us too. I really liked what he provided, what he brought to the table last year.
So that makes four.
Well, actually, I'm pretty sure Tracy Walker is going to end up playing safety. So
yeah.
Cornerbacks and safeties. Yeah.
At least he can play well there.
I'm talking passing defenders all around. So
yeah, but that's basically our on paper, our secondary unit would seem to be have made some improvements. Some minor step backs, of course, by trading Darius Slay. But again, Slay was not happy. Slay did not want to be here. So put one and one together, you got to do what you have to do. So you still have Trufant, you still have Okudah, you still have Coleman, you still have Walker. To me, again, even though you would have loved to have Slay, you work with what you got. And I think still, on paper, especially if Okudah lives up to his potential, this is still a better situation for your secondary as it was last year.
Yes, definitely. All right. So I believe we have filled up all the time. And now it's time for the closing statement. I'll give you 1 minute each, guys. Ed Smith, we'll start with you. 1 minute closing statement. Go right ahead.
While we're slowly but surely returning to normal in a sense, with more and more sports coming back, with UFC doing what they're doing now, with baseball coming back into the fold, with the NBA starting its process, knowing that football is or at least the NFL sense is around the corner, it's good to see some sense of normalcy, but still recognize the realities that we are still in right now in terms of dealing with this virus, in terms of dealing with outside forces that may not want to help de-escalate what this virus has done to us, not just with COVID-19, but other factors and issues that plague our nation. So Always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind when you think things are quote unquote going back to normal, because I assure you they are not. Far from it.
There you go. Always be precautionary. Frank, 1 minute closing statement. Go right ahead.
My closing statement is pretty much going to be the same as Ed's. Things may be getting slowly back to normal, but that doesn't mean we let our guard down and let up. Keep wearing your mask, keep washing your hands, keep practicing social distancing thing, and also, if you want something to do, at least take some time to enjoy some Major League Baseball action Thursday night, when I believe there's a couple opening night games, and also the Tigers will be playing the Cincinnati Reds on Friday night to open up their regular season. And then you can also take time to enjoy some NBA action returning, I think, at the end of this month, and the NHL returning in August at the first part of that as well. And there'll be plenty of games to choose from, especially in the afternoon.
My closing statement, it'll only be a matter of time, possibly a few months before COVID-19 goes away, but we still have to do our part to make sure it does. Keep following those guidelines, washing hands, keep socially distancing ourselves, and just staying safe, wearing a mask wherever we go. So, gentlemen, excellent job as always. If there's any local, state, or national business that is interested in sponsoring the Michigan Sports Truth podcast on Stables.network, please contact the network executive producer, Mark Mancini, by email at mancinisports@yahoo.com. Our next episode next week, Wednesday from 10 to 10:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks very much for listening, downloading, and sharing. And remember, the truth is out there. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Bon appetit. Hit them with a hind. We rest our case. Stay safe.
New to Medicare? Go to myhealthpolicy.com. With myhealthpolicy.com, you can compare plans from some of the nation's top insurers. Start now to find a plan and apply online. myhealthpolicy.com makes it easy to find a Medicare Advantage plan in your area, including plans for $0 a month in plan premiums, low out-of-pocket costs, and expansive provider networks.
My decision, my Medicare. myhealthpolicy.com.
If you've been in close contact with someone who tests positive for COVID-19, you could get a call from your local health department. To protect us all, answer the call. Learn more at michigan.gov/contain COVID. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.